Okay, so I'm going to try and speak as clearly as possible. It's a very, very windy night tonight, so hopefully you won't hear too much of that in the audio. I mean, really, it's like a gale out there. It's really strong. I want to talk a bit about a petition that's been launched against Tyson Fury, the heavyweight boxer. This is in relation to the BBC Sports Personality of the Year. Every year, the BBC holds this program to nominate who they believe or who people watching believe should be the sportsman or sportswoman who's had the biggest influence in a given year. Well, Tyson Fury is on the list because he's just won the World Heavyweight Championship, beating Vladimir Klitschko in Dusseldorf. Wherever you think of Tyson Fury, that's a profound achievement. I'm a Klitschko fan, but to beat one of the greatest heavyweights in history after 9 years dominating is a pretty big achievement. He's only 27 years old and he's unbeaten, so this is a major achievement. Anyway, this petition against him being on the list is on the grounds of his alleged homophobic views. I say alleged because he's saying it was taken out of proportion. This was apparently on a in a Mail on Sunday interview. And this is supposedly what he said. There are only three things that need to be accomplished before the devil comes home. One of them is homosexuality being legal in countries, one of them is abortion, and the other one's paedophilia. Who would have thought in the 50s and 60s that those first two would be legalized? Fury has claimed he was misquoted, and the Mail have responded by publishing the full transcript as well as the audio of the interview. The petition was launched by Scott Cuthbertson on change.org. So far got 35,000 signatures, so it's got quite a lot of support. Looking at the comments under the Yahoo article, most people seem to be disagreeing with the idea of censoring or punishing this man for his views. Like I say, Fury himself says he was taken out of context. Well, I didn't hear the interview. I can't say whether that's the case or not. I do know that Tyson Fury is quite an eccentric character. He does say some quite outlandish things at times. Not saying that is outlandish. I'm just saying he doesn't shy away from controversy. Um, I have a real problem with this, with the petition that is, and it comes down to a few things. Firstly, I want to make it clear I don't agree with Tyson Fury's views, if indeed those are his views. Um, I think it's ridiculous comparing homosexuality to pedophilia can, to consenting male adults to abusing a child is clearly a ridiculous comparison. As for abortion, well, that's another issue again. Um, but that's his view, and it's not. I've seen often there where he's actually advocating violence against gay people or advocating homophobic bullying or anything like that. He's saying something that is offensive. I get that. If I was a gay man, I'd probably feel very angry about that and hurt. So I totally understand that. But I still don't think that's enough of a reason to have a petition to punish someone for, the point is he's been put on this short list along with people like Jessica Innes Hill and just see a few of the other entries here. Mo Farah, Greg Rutherford are some of the other people who may be nominated. The way I see it is this is a way for this guy, Scott Cuthbertson, to punish someone who's had a huge achievement simply because he doesn't like what his views on a totally unrelated subject. I'm not sure why a boxer would be asked those questions anyway, or maybe Fury brought them up himself, I don't know. But the point is, this event is to do with sporting achievement. It, it shouldn't have anything to do with something that's completely unrelated. Now, I could understand the controversy if he was advocating violence against gay people. That would be possibly constituting a hate crime. But to simply voice an opinion and to be punished for that, or potentially be punished for that, I think is outrageous. In our society, freedom of expression has to be sacrosanct. And I said there's several things that bothers me about this. And the other thing is this. I feel that there are LGBT lobby groups out there who seem to exist for being offended. And they seem to have a victimhood agenda. And what I mean by that is they will grasp any controversial view. I mean, is his view homophobic? Sure it is. But it seems to me that they're perpetuating homophobia to some extent. I'm not saying that I'm not saying that someone having homophobic views is the fault of homosexuals. Of course it's not. I'm not saying that. But what I am saying is that constantly treating yourselves like a sort of special group or a protected species, sorry for that sort of language, but can't think of any other way to describe it, is utterly counterproductive. If you want to be treated with equality, then stop acting like you're an endangered species, because you're not. Equality means equality. That means equality in law. It means equality to be treated fairly, and it means the equality and the liberty not to live in fear. That's why I say it would be different if he was calling for homophobic violence. He's not. He's simply expressing his view that he obviously, he doesn't agree with it. Um, I just think it's ridiculous to have a petition on something like that. Now, people would say, "Oh, but how would you feel if?" Okay, let's say a public figure doesn't like red-headed people. Okay, this is something that's beyond my control. Would it piss me off? Maybe, maybe. Would I think it's childish? Would I think it's, you know, stupid? Yeah, I would. Now, if that person was nominated for some achievement that they had that had nothing to do with their opinions on red-headed people, would I start a petition to have them banned? I don't think it would, because I think it would recognize that it's totally unrelated. They could send him some sort of correspondence and challenge his views, but to try and punish him over something, the point is this would be a recognition of his sporting achievement, his boxing achievement. It shouldn't have anything to do with his views on a social issue. Like I said, I don't know why that was brought up in the first place, whether he brought it up or whether the interviewer brought it up. But we're getting to a rather pathetic point where we're becoming so overly sensitized that every politically incorrect view is met with this sort of response. It's ridiculous. Now, I had strong views on Katie Hopkins' opinions about refugees. I think that's different because she was actually advocating violence. She spoke about, I think her words were blowing them out of the water and sending gunboats and that sort of thing. That was actual advocacy of violence. It wasn't just her saying, "Oh, I don't like refugees." That was a physical, tangible advocacy of violence. What Tyson Fury is saying is he doesn't agree with homosexual lifestyle, which is obviously an offensive and contentious viewpoint, but it is just a viewpoint. So this guy, Scott Cuthbertson, I'm wondering, well, is he really motivated? Is he really a boxing fan, or is he just trying to find offense? I do think he's probably the sort of person that goes out of his way to find homophobic comments from public figures and then goes out of his way to destroy those figures. I think it would be a real pity if this young man's career was destroyed because of an opinion he held that has nothing to do with that. Like I say, Scott Cuthbertson and other people who are angry about his statements would have every right to challenge him, send him correspondence, and say, we're gay people, we feel offended by your petition, blah, 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 in a peaceful way, maybe challenge him to a debate, something like that. But to try and punish him, I think is ridiculous. I mean, If we really take freedom of expression to be sacrosanct, then it could be equally argued that advocating gay lifestyle is offensive to many people. Not me. Personally, I couldn't care less. But it is offensive to some people. And, in the end of the day, freedom of expression should be for everyone. So Scott Cuthbertson feels he has the freedom to push an LGBT agenda, which is what he's doing, then he should respect the liberty of Tyson Fury to have offensive views. And this is not me agreeing with Fury's views. I don't agree with his views. I think comparing homosexuality and pedophilia is ridiculous. But I don't see what that has got to do with him just becoming world heavyweight champion. And I think he'd be a fair candidate to win. It's a major achievement. I just hope the BBC doesn't cave into this and take him off the list. Because as far as I'm concerned, that would be it. This is sort of a bit like punishing Olympic athletes for the actions of the government if they happen to share the same views as the government. Well, I know it's not the same thing, but I'm just saying that it should be a different matter, someone's achievement and someone's personal opinion. I mean, I acknowledge that Gordon Ramsay's a great chef. I think as a person, he's a prick. I don't like him at all. But I don't take away the fact that he's a great chef. So, people need to differentiate the two things. That's all I'm saying. I'm not saying I agree with him. I'm not saying people don't have a right to be offended by what he's saying. There's 35,000 people. If they feel offended, they have a right to feel offended. But they don't have a right to try and punish someone for having a view. So I think the petition is ridiculous. Let me know your thoughts on this. If you're a gay person, I hope you don't think that I'm endorsing his views because I'm not. But I'm talking about the fact that freedom of expression should be sacrosanct. Simple as that.